Hello there everyone, this is CG Fella here and today I will show you how I created a stylized toony character, Skelly the Skeleton in Blender. I will also share some tips and tricks along the way, so I hope you guys learned something new. So without wasting any time, let's get into it. The first step to creating our character is modeling. So first we are going to model Skelly. Now if you have seen him, he's just a skull and ribs, which shouldn't be too difficult to model. So I'm going to start with a skull. To create a nice skull, I'm going to use a round cube. So press Shift A to get to your add menu, go to mesh and select round cube. Now you can change the views by pressing 1, 3 and 7 for front, side and top view, or control 1, 3 and 7 for the opposites. Next you have to go and add some modifiers, or we can do that later. Let's first just go to the edit mode by pressing tab and delete some of the bottom faces to give it more of a skull-like appearance. So I will select these faces, or you can just go to you can press C to go to the circular selection mode and then just select many faces at once. Then you can right click to get rid of that selection mode, and I will select these ones as well, and this one. Yeah, this should be alright, and I will delete the faces. So this is going to be our skull part, and this hair is going to be our teeth, like Skelly's teeth. So the next thing we are going to do is adjust the skull a bit to look better. You can select the whole look by pressing Alt and left click. Maybe select these ones and scale it down a little, like so. And now we are going to add modifiers. So to add modifiers, go to your modifier panel, click on add modifier, and for this tutorial we are going to add two modifiers. First is solidify and the second is subdivision surface. Now the first one you want to add is solidify. Remember that the order of your modifiers matter a lot. So solidify after subdivision is going to give you a different result than subdivision and then solidify. So make sure the order of your modifiers are correct. Blender always applies the modifiers from top to bottom. So make sure your orders are correct. So I'm going to apply solidify modifier first. So what does solidify do? It creates a solid mesh on our paper thin model. And there is a parameter called thickness. There are lots of other parameters that I'm not going to go into. And we are just going to use the thickness. So I'm going to increase the thickness. As you can see, it's set to default as 0.01 meter. I'm going to give it something like, say, 1. 1 is too much. 0.5. 0.5 is still too much. 0.2, yeah, 0.2 looks quite nice. So the next thing we're going to do is add another modifier, as I was saying, which is subdivision surface. Subdivision surface actually creates subdivisions to your models to smoothen it out. So as you can see, the model is already smoothed out, and here are the parameters to it. I'm just going to use these two parameters or explain these two parameters. The upper one, which says render, is the amount of subdivisions that's going to be applied in the render mode when you render your object. So, and this one is the viewport, how much subdivision it's going to show you in the viewport. So to get an idea of how the render will look like, I'm just going to increase it to 2 because we're not using many polys. But if you're using too many polys, polys means polygons, then you should keep it low because it will start to get laggy in your viewport. So this looks quite nice and a bit skull-like, if you will. So as you can see, you can also see the polygons here, like square things, which we don't want. So what are we gonna do? Right click on our object to open our object context menu and click on shade smooth, and tada, it's smoothened out. So that's for the basic part. Then we are going to get to edit mode again and adjust the skull a little more to suit our view. we are going to select all of the faces or vertices and scale them down a bit in the y-axis and also the x-axis a bit. And yeah, now there is one more problem that I want to talk about, which is this cage like thing. As you can see, our model is caged in a mesh of edges, which is our edges without the subdivision surface. If I get rid of the subdivision in our viewport, you can see that is how our model looked like before the subdivision surface. But after we add it, it looks like this. But we still get this weird cage-like thing, which I usually don't use during modeling. So what we're going to do is click on this tab to make it smooth. To edit our skull a little more, we are going to toggle into the proportional editing mode by pressing O. This proportional editing mode allows you to move your vertices at once. So if you select one vertex and move it around, as you can see, a lot more of these vertices will also move, giving you a smoother experience. So I'm going to move it up a bit and scale these two down. This two bit as well. And yeah, we have a nice skull looking mesh. So the next thing we are going to do is add teeth. To do that, here is another nifty trick. Click on your vertex and press V to rip the vertex. Press V and your vertex is ripped apart. So it creates two vertices from a single vertex by ripping it into two. Press V again and click on this one, press V again. And as you can see, we already have our teeth. Now, if you look closely, our teeth is too round. We don't want this much roundness. To do that, we are going to press Ctrl plus R and then click to give it a more sharper look. Ctrl R to create a loop cut. We'll do this with the rest of the teeth. And once you're done, this looks kind of nice. So the next thing you're going to do is add the eyes and the nose. You can of course go to edit mode and delete the faces and try to create eyes from that. But for that, I'm going to teach you another cool trick called knife projection. To use our knife projection tool, first we are going to have to create a mesh to denote the outlines of the cut. And you will see what I'm saying in a moment. So we are going to add a, say, circle for the eyes, and I'm going to reduce the vertices from 32 to 8 to make it a bit low poly. And I'm going to move it around like so. As you can see, we have a circle. I'm going to go to edit mode and scale it down a bit. What we're doing is creating our eyes. I'm going to toggle off the proportionality mode for the moment and shift D to duplicate it. Another eye, maybe scale it up a bit. Scale this up too. And another one for the nose. Back to proportionality mode. And I'm going to create a nose-like shape, and maybe change the eyes a little to make it look even cuter. Cuter, is that a word? I don't know. This looks nice. I'm going to scale everything down a bit. This looks alright. So, as you can see, we have the outlines for the eyes. Now, to use our knife projection tool, what you have to do is click on your outline first and then the mesh you are going to cut. Then go to edit mode and like this and press and go to mesh, and look for knife project and press knife project. As you can see, this outline has been projected into our mesh, but there's a little problem. There's lots of problems. If you switch off the viewport, you can see the projection is good, but it's creating issues due to our modifiers. So now we are going to clean our mesh. For this, I'm going to press H and hide the outline because I don't need it anymore. Then I'm going to press tab to go to edit mode, and first I'm going to delete these faces. This already looks nice, but I will teach you how to clean your topology to get a better results. Now these kind of issues happens due to n-gons. Now what are n-gons? N-gons are basically polygons with more than 4 vertices, like pentagons and hexagons. As you can see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 vertices here. So we are going to create a topology without these n-gons. For that, we can of course delete and create again, but no, we are going to do another trick. We are going to click 2 vertices and press J to join them or bridge them. So as you can see, this is a pentagon. We are going to click these and press J, and we'll keep doing it for every single n-gon that we can find. You can turn off the solidify modifier for your viewport using this tab here, so it's easier to see, and it's really bad. The topology we're going to keep joining them to get rid of all the n-gons. And yeah, so our one of the eyes is complete. Now moving on to the second one. Second eye is complete as well. Move this up a bit. Yeah. Now the nose. So we don't have any more n-gons here, and as you can see, our topology looks better, but it's still not the best yet. For that, we are not actually going to use anything. We are going to just extrude this in a bit. Toggle off the proportional editing and extrude it in a bit. Extrude this eye as well. The nose too. And tada! We have a nice looking topology. We'll improve it even more by getting rid of maybe these 2 vertices, joining them. You can get rid of these vertices. This eye is complete. Now going to the next eye. Yeah, and like so, our skull model is almost complete. No, I forgot this part. with this, our skull model is complete, and now we are going to move to our ribs. Next, we are going to create the ribs. To create the ribs, I'm going to add a UV sphere by going to mesh, add UV sphere, and oh, wait. Yeah, add a UV sphere, and I'm going to move it down a little so that I can see it better, and go to edit mode and deselect everything, go to the circular selection mode and select this, go to faces, select this and go down, select these, press Ctrl plus to select the adjacent faces as well. This looks alright, and I will delete these. Then press C again, and I'm going to select these guys. And delete them. Press C again and select these. You can of course go to your wireframe mode and select them at once, but I'm just doing this the long way this time. I don't know why. And delete. So yeah, we have a nice rib cage-ish mesh. Now we are going to shade smooth it as well and add modifiers. We are going to add the same modifiers this time as well. So first solidify and maybe 0.2 again, yes, and then subdivision surface to get a cute looking rib cage for our skelly. And I'm going to press tab and go to proportional editing mode to edit the rib cage a little, maybe like this, and scale it in the Y direction a bit. This looks great. So we have also created our ribs. So the next part is creating the hearts that will be in the eyes and the backgrounds. So to do that, I'm going to add another round cube and move it up a bit so that I can see it better. And again, add modifiers. I'm not going to add solidify it to it because it's not going to have any holes or anything in it. I'm just going to add subdivision surface and smooth it out a bit. Scale it in the Y direction. And edit it a bit to get a heart-ish shape. And yeah, I think this looks like a nice heart. So with this, our step 1 is complete, which is modeling. And yeah, so this looks quite nice. Moving on to step 2, we are going to create the lighting and also set up the scene. So to do that, first I'm going to get an idea of how things are going on. I'm going to create another tab. To do that, go to the corner of your viewport and drag it out to get another view. So in this, we are going to go to the rendered mode to get an idea of what's going on. For that, I'm going to go into the render properties and change it to cycles, because we are going to be working in cycles for this tutorial, and switch to rendered mode. As you can see, we can see what is going on in our rendered mode. So we are going to do the lighting. Now, if you have watched my lighting tutorial, you know what I'm going to do. If you haven't, you can follow along. So I'm going to add a sun lamp and switch off the overlays by pressing this tab to toggle between on and off. And I'm going to move the sun lamp, rotate it around 45 degrees, and go to the side view, rotate 45 degrees again. And under the light panel, make the shadows softer by increasing the angle to around 25, maybe 30. Yes, this looks quite nice. And next I'm going to add a plane to act as our base plus background, and move it down. Next I'm going to set up the camera so that we know what we're looking at. For that, I'm going to press 0 to get to our camera view, and go to our camera and press Alt R and Alt G to reset the camera's rotation and location. And after that, I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees like so. Grab it. We need a square camera, so we are going to go to the output properties and change the resolution from 1920 is to 1080 to 1080 to get a squared render. I'm going to move it out a bit and go to the camera panel and change the focal length to look better. Yes, this looks quite nice. Now I'm going to scale out the background a bit and go to edit mode, extrude this to create a nice background, and I'm going to select this edge and press Ctrl B to bevel it, and use the wheel on my mouse to select how much bevel I need, like this. So I'm going to bevel it quite a bit. Yeah, this looks nice. I'm going to shade smooth, and I'm going to also add subdivision surface modifier. But as you can see, this has smoothed out the outlines as well, which we don't want. So what I'm going to do is go to edit mode and add loop cuts to it by pressing Ctrl R and adding loop cuts. It's getting a little slow due to my rendered view, but it's alright. This looks nice. So now we are going to adjust our skelly a little by rotating him. I don't know why my mouse keeps right clicking instead of left clicking, and I have copied my skull a lot of times. Well, I don't know why that is happening. I need to change my mouse. So our skelly looks nice. The pose is nice. So now we are going to set up the lighting. For that, I'm going to add a round cube and go to edit mode and delete the front and bottom vertices and scale it up a bit. Scale it up quite a bit. I'm also going to scale this in the y direction to get some more space, the x direction as well. nice. Then I'm going to go to the object properties panel and switch off the visibility to make sure it's invisible in the rendered mode. And volume display, change it to Y so that it's invisible in our viewport as well. And now I'm going to assign an emission shader to it to get a nice looking lighting. Yeah, this already looks quite nice. And I'm going to change the strength to say 0.5 maybe. Yeah, this looks good. As you can see, our model is highlighted and it's looking nice. And I'm going to use the heart to make our skelly's eyes. This looks nice. And another one, I will just duplicate it, add it here to make another heart eye. Yeah, we have our heart-eyed skelly already. The next thing I'm going to do is add some more hearts in the background to make him look more lovey-dovey. Yeah, so this looks quite nice. Our scene is already looking good. Maybe rotate this a bit, give it a more dynamic look. Yeah. So the next thing we are going to do is add some more props in it. And for that, I usually like to use something called metaballs. For that, you have to go to add, metaball, and ball. These are quite nice objects. As you can see, you can scale them down. And the best part about these is if you duplicate them, they actually form kind of a water dropletish feeling. So you don't get weird jagged edges or sharp edges. You get these nice smooth water like droplets, which looks amazing. So I just use these things for adding props to my scenes. Let me move it somewhere here. Now I'm going to move them in the Y direction a bit so that I can add depth of field later on and make them look a little blurred. Yeah, so with this, our adding props is also complete. And as you can see, it already looks quite nice. Moving over to step 3, we are going to add materials. Now adding materials isn't going to be too difficult. We are just going to add some principal PSDFs. We are not going to do too much with that. And I'm going to scale it in the Y direction a bit because as you can see, the balls are not getting proper lighting. Now it looks way better. Yeah. So the next thing we are going to do is add the materials. First go to the heart and add material and just make it red pinkish type heart, and it already looks good. Now we are going to link the materials. To link the materials, we are going to create all the hearts that we want to have that red material in it, not that. We'll deselect it later on. Not you. We are going to create all the. We are going to select all the hearts. Yes, and select. Come on. And select these two hearts, and we are going to select the heart with the desired material last. See, this is the heart that has the red color, so we are going to select it last. As you can see, it has a yellow color in the background and the others have orange. This means this is the one which has been selected the last. And then we are going to press Ctrl L to make links, and we are going to select materials. And as you can see, with one click, all the hearts are now red colored or reddish pinkish color. So the hearts are also complete. I think the skeleton looks good, but I think it needs a bit more whiter tint, so I'm going to add a material and ramp up the white part. And I'm going to do the same thing, select the metaballs as well, and select this the last and make links materials. And as you can see, everything now has that material except the metaballs, because metaballs sometimes don't work in that way. You have to select them individually for them to work like that. Make links materials. Yes. Now we have metaballs with the proper materials in it, and the final thing is giving material to the background. I'm just going to use a blue color for this. This color looks nice. And now there is one more thing that we have left in lighting, which is adding a torus. We are going to add a torus to give a highlighting finish to our render. We are going to surround our main subject inside it, and again switch off the camera and shadows. Yes, and only select the inner loops, get rid of all the outer loops, get rid of all the bottom loops as well. By pressing Ctrl plus, I'm going to select a lot of adjacent faces and delete them, so that I don't get a weird lighting in the floor. And I'm going to keep it on our skull. Yes, and apply a nice emission shader to it for highlighting lighting. Yes, it looks nice. See, you can see highlights coming to the heart. Alright, we are going to duplicate this because the hearts in the bottom are not getting the desired lighting. And add this highlighting light to the hearts as well, and this looks nice. And yeah, so with this we have also completed our adding materials part. So the only thing which remains is now adding effects, which is our next step. And so we have reached our final step, step 4, which is adding effects. And by effects I mean we are going to add depth of field. To add depth of field, there are many ways of adding depth of field. You can just assign your focus to the main subject, but what I prefer is adding an empty. To do that, press Shift A to get to your add menu, and go look for empty and add a plane axis. Now this empty is going to be our main focus. We are going to control the focus through this empty object. Now select our camera, go to the camera panel, camera properties, and click on depth of field and select the focus object to empty. Now you won't be able to see much of a difference because we haven't yet changed the settings in it. We are not going to do anything with these blades and rotation and ratio. I'm just going to use the f-stop. The lower your f-stop, the more blurred background you're going to get. So if you set it to say 0.1, you can see everything is getting blurred out. It's too blurry. And you can actually move the empty to change your focus. If you move it in the y direction, as you can see, now the balls are in focus and our skelly is out of focus, which is definitely what we don't want. So I'm going to move it just a little bit to focus on our skelly and keep the f-stop to maybe 0.2. Yeah, I think 0.2 looks quite nice. Our skelly is totally sharp and the balls are getting a bit blurred. So our adding effects part is also complete. So with this, our tutorial is complete and we have created Skelly the Skeleton, a stylized toony character in Blender. Now the only thing which remains is to hit render and tada! Your object, your render is ready. If you like this video, then hit the thumbs up, and if you want to see future videos like this, then subscribe to CG Fella. Also, if you have any suggestions for the future videos, then make sure to leave them in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video.